20 years after they were seen on screen, we finally have Commander Bakara and Galactic Marines as official minifigures with the release of the Republic Juggernaut. There's lots to say about this set and its figures, but it's already been said by everyone and their mother, so let's discuss an alternate build. Long before the Clone Wars TV show you all know and love, there was 2003's Clone Wars. This show had incredible designs for all sorts of characters and vehicles, along with some great stories. And that's where today's alternate build idea comes from. We're taking the Republic Juggernaut and creating the turbo tank variant seen in that 2003 Clone Wars TV show. The problem though is that the vehicle we're making only exists for a handful of seconds in the background of an episode, so we have a big challenge ahead of us. If I can play the clip, I will, otherwise you'll be looking at it all with just some pictures, give or take a few frames. I wasn't kidding when I said a few seconds. So with the limited view that we got, I created a rough blockout of what I think the turbo tank in this show would have looked like in its entirety. Obviously we'll never know for sure, but I think it's pretty close to what it could be. But knowing the parts we're working with in this Juggernaut set, I'm not sure if we have the pieces to recreate my blockout one-to-one. So I made a few modifications to the design to accommodate the pieces I'll be using, and I think our final product will end up more like this. I of course went for that original version first, but I had this backup plan just in case. So with my options laid out, I got to work with my parts and created an alternate build inspired by my interpretation of the 2003 Clone Wars turbo tank. It's an interesting looking variant to say the least, especially compared to what we know and love, but I'm happy with the end result. The most important part to get right about this build was the wheels, funnily enough. Because that's the only part of the vehicle we can see, it's the only thing we can factually recreate accurately, so I know I got at least that portion right on this build. But more importantly with the wheels is that I retained the turning or suspension function from the original set. So despite losing a set of wheels, you can still steer and control this tank however you please. Above the belt is where the creative liberties had to start coming into play. I tried to borrow a lot of design cues from previous turbo tanks to help integrate this version into the turbo tank family, and I think I did an okay job. The front end of the tank looks very reminiscent to what we've seen before, from its shaping down to the dual front cannons. The translucent plates for the windscreen don't line up nearly as perfectly as I'd like, but that was sort of unavoidable. On top of this section, we have a small turret position behind some greebling that then leads us into the chunky middle of the tank. This was the last part of the vehicle to be built, at least the side panels. I had completely run out of plates and I pretty much only had these bulky round pieces left, so I had to use them to cover up this gap. And while it's a bit chunky, it works. Though if it were a perfect world, I'd definitely make these flat panels like the ones in the back here to better match the aesthetic of the tank. The end of the vehicle houses no windows or viewports. Unlike most tanks we've seen, I was only able to give this vehicle one face, so the back is capped off with some greebling on these panels. Then lastly, before diving inside, we have a turret to protect the rear, along with a small lookout post on top that's the same as the original set. Onto our interior, the cockpit is accessed by pulling up and back on this front turret. This pulls up these two top panels so we can get figures inside, where we have two seats, one for a driver and one for a gunner, both with stickered control panels. The side and front panels don't fold out though, so it is a little tight getting your fingers in here to position your figs. The back section is much easier. It opens up just like the original set, with the side panels folding down and the middle of the roof being removable. There are 5 seats inside, 2 on either side with 1 in the middle, along with a control panel in the back for an extra trooper to stand up and use. Then there is also a bit of empty space between the two sections where you could stand up some more figures, but it's a little tough to access, so do it if you please. But that just about covers the 2003 turbo tank. If you want to build one for yourself, I have full PDF building instructions available on my Patreon page right now. Let me know your thoughts on the tank in the comments below, and drop some name suggestions for it as well. What would you call this if it were in the Republic military? Because I don't think I can call it the 2003 turbo tank forever. I really love the idea of this turbo tank variant, and in the future I might try and make a mock that's much cleaner than this alternate build, as a more official interpretation of the original blockout I made as inspiration. If that's something you want to see, let me know down below.